Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time here to the channel, welcome. If you are a follower on alternative tech or here on YouTube as a loyal subscriber, I want to thank all of you guys for your continued support.
We start things off with news trawl because the original heading of this article has changed several times from what we've seen since Monday, and as of this recording, it is Wednesday, July the 14th. From the Daily Mail, original heading, Cubans are ready to rule themselves without tyranny. Miami mayor leads call for U.S. intervention in Cuba as thousands take to the streets of communist-run nation chanting, "Down with the dictatorship." Now, I want to mention briefly how when we covered Hong Kong, you may remember that they used American flags as a symbol of freedom. And we see some additional images of them with the American flag, which is quite interesting because many have said this week, why aren't people in this country as enthusiastic about freedom and liberty as the Cubans or the citizens of Hong Kong? Where is the sense of freedom and liberties that these people are seeking? I find it very interesting, the contrast. So let's go to the now changed Daily Mail heading. Biden administration ridiculed for claiming extraordinary Cuban street protests have been sparked by COVID as Miami mayor leads call for U.S. intervention in communist island. So the point of this, to salvage it for the left, they have to claim that it has to do with COVID. Hopefully I can say that without being demonetized. We'll find out. But nonetheless, of course, it can be about their freedoms and liberties. And as it's been discussed and talked about, as we have seen in history, typically when it comes to this level of protest, it's usually because there is some form of shortage. And as we understand it, there is a shortage of food because of sanctions that are going on with Cuba. This is not particularly unusual, but what is interesting is that now the Cubans are actually starting to protest, which is extraordinarily dangerous in their country. Let me put it to you in perspective of here in the States. Let's say you're someone like Alex Jones and you start presenting information that you don't want people to know. Well, you get shut down. Well, in Cuba, you get shut down in a different way. That's usually imprisonment for an extended period of time where you don't have rights of habeas corpus and a right to an attorney through indigent defense. It's a totally different story. The Biden administration has been ridiculed for claiming Cubans are protesting rising COVID cases after thousands took to the streets from Havana to Santiago chanting, "Down with the dictatorship," in the biggest anti-government demonstration as the communist-run island in decades, or on the communist-run islands in decades. So they're definitely not talking about an illness or concerned about an illness because they probably wouldn't be out in the streets, unlike the people here in the States that were out there in the streets. Of course, we don't hear about that with any fervor because, of course, if you're out at a concert or attending a Trump rally, that's the only time where the potential spread of C-19 could possibly happen. But the Cubans are at a point now where they're actually willing to demonstrate, very much like we saw in Hong Kong. And of course, the Chinese have really put down the hammer there in Hong Kong, which is unfortunate and tragic, but does signify what people are going through who are suffering from genuine oppression and genuine oppression. Or did I just repeat myself? Cuban president blames U.S. for social unrest after massive anti-communist protests. This I find particularly unusual. He blames the U.S. Well, President Trump, who is pro-Constitution, pro-freedom and liberty, would have could have potentially been maybe to blame if Cubans see liberty and freedom. But the Biden administration, I find it very interesting. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel on Monday accused the U.S. of provoking social unrest in his country, one day after thousands of Cubans took to the streets to demand an end to the communist dictatorship that has oppressed and anchored citizens in poverty for decades. Well, there you have it. From Yahoo News, a genuine article, a genuine outline, a realistic, believable, comprehensive paragraph that explains it. I find it actually kind of fascinating that the Cubans would be blaming the Biden administration, which I find fascinating. Bernie, the Squad, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ocasio-Cortez, all very quiet, as Sean Hannity is pointing out. Silence. Far-left Democrats go quiet as pro-freedom protests erupt in Cuba. It does. Anti-government protests broke out Sunday in Cuba, demanding freedom and calling on the disbandment of the country's communist dictatorship, all while some of the U.S. most outspoken self-professed democratic socialists appear to be in lockstep, but not acknowledging the historic events unfolding on the island about 90 miles south from Florida. It's interesting, is it not, that we're not hearing from the Squad. We're not hearing from Feel the Burn Bernie in this particular discussion, because we already know, for example, that these types of democratic socialists, which I find interesting, because anytime you bring up socialism or communism in any sort of online discussion, the left will always say, well, not classic communism or classic this or classic that, because they always want to change the definitions. They always want to change meaning if it looks like they're backed into a corner. If it looks like they have to defend something, they want to shift blame. They want to shift the narrative. They want to change the language. They want to change meaning. They want to change definitions, because they know everyone can see that people in Cuba are protesting communism. I don't care how you want to dress it up, how you want to decorate communism. It's communism. They're oppressed. They're under oppression, and they're being suppressed. They're being denied rights. They're being denied liberties. They're being denied freedom. You define it however you want. The simplest solution is always the most apparent, and that is the Cubans are protesting because of communism. Now we're going to move over here to a story I covered earlier this week on Wednesday. As of this very recording of this video, you guys can check that out up here in the top right-hand corner. Biden-allied groups, including the Democratic National Committee, are also planning to engage fact-checkers more aggressively and work with SMS carriers to dispel misinformation about vaccines that is sent over social media and text messages. If you guys want to see that commentary, you can check it out up there by clicking in the right top-hand corner, or by clicking below this video where I have my social media links, as well as links to this particular very, very aggressive move by our government, which I find very disturbing, that not only are they claiming to want to go door to door, now they actually want to use a utility to monitor American citizens and the conversations that we have. So be sure to check that out. And that's what I have for you guys for this week.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. I appreciate all your guys' support, particularly those on alternative tech. And I know you guys on alternative tech say, why don't I just use Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey? And I do. However, if all of us conservative commentators leave the platform, leave YouTube, then all that's going to be left for the normies who search for news and articles and commentary, they're just going to get information from the left. And of course, if we all leave, then of course, then just the left will be left here. So your support, down below this video, you will find my social media links to Standard Social Media and to Alt Tech. I encourage you guys to take advantage of that and follow me there and support me so that we can get this form of commentary out. And of course, for all of you that are watching this on YouTube, that will be the channel icon appearing right there on the screen to subscribe, along with notifications. And when I release shorts, I make sure that you guys don't get spammed by a lot of the videos, because I'm putting them out pretty much daily at this point. So grateful for that opportunity, grateful for the traffic. Thank you guys for your continued support, and I'll see all you guys right there behind that camera next week.